show. As always, I'm your host Daniel with my father and co-host Jerry. Say hi, Dad.
Hello.
This time we are doing Coming to America, or Coming America 2, or Coming to America 2. I don't really. It's supposed to just Coming to America. We actually saw the original Coming to America not too long ago, and it still held up pretty well and was still pretty funny.
Yeah.
I don't know how much we're gonna get into them over it on that, but the new one, it has its moments, but I don't think it has like the same charm or anything as the original.
No, well, it got better as it went
Yeah, like I said,
by
like in the
far.
first, there were some moments at the beginning, like especially how they like kind of treat Arsenio Hall's character, how they keep threatening to kill him and throwing stuff at him that I found pretty funny. But mostly, like, um, it really didn't. First off, it should be called Coming to Zamunda or Zamunda,
Yeah.
since they spend almost the entire time in Zamunda, and it's about him bringing his kid from America to Zamunda, and they're hardly in America at all in this movie. Um, which, like, I mean, in the original, obviously had Eddie Murphy coming to kind of a poorer part of America, and you had the culture shock as well as the income disparity and stuff difference from it. In this one, you have his son, who's a poor kid from Queens, coming coming to
Mhm.
Zamunda and being in the royal palace, and you have the culture shock there. But I don't think they do it well enough or just interestingly enough, because he seems to adapt to it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Um, in it, and like, I mean, like some of the problems with the movie are like you don't really get like much of Eddie Murphy's family in it. Um, which you don't get too much of his back and forth with Arsenio Hall, which was always great in the first one. Um, or really too much of the other characters' personalities, other than the son and Eddie Murphy, uh, which I seem to remember there being a bit more of it on that. Um, as well as it's also PG-13, so it seems a bit toned down from the original, which didn't hurt it, I don't think, too much, but like you didn't get the same level of like at like the barbershop and stuff. They weren't as vicious or as demanding and stuff.
And we didn't get much of it.
Yeah, you didn't get too
Uh,
much of, like, honestly, you didn't get too much of any of the characters except Eddie Murphy from the original.
yes.
You
And
actually probably got more of Wesley Snipes' new character from Nextdoria, which that probably took him a whole week to figure out. Um, that was one of the worst names I've heard in a while and least effort. Uh, and I get the joke, but then you do almost any of the other old characters. I guess Wesley Snipes' character is a new one too. But I felt like he was probably the character that was second most in the movie. Well, I guess third, other than Eddie Murphy's son. Um, and I kind of feel like that's a big loss of potential it had there.
yeah.
'Cause, I mean, I
The,
didn't. Yeah, go ahead.
I was saying the very beginning of the movie was just sort of incomprehensible, moving back and forth.
Yeah.
It did have some very funny scenes in. In fact, the whole movie had scenes that were really good.
Yeah.
And but it doesn't really get rolling until they go back to the original
Hmm.
theme of the original one in the middle of the movie,
Yeah.
where
Um,
he's going out to find the love of his life and stuff.
mhm.
Uh, and as you said, it wasn't about America. It was going back to you know
Zamunda.
the Munda. Yeah,
Yeah, I looked that up before we got here because I couldn't remember what it was called too. Yeah, and I feel like why didn't you just call it Coming to Zamunda?
yeah.
I mean, most people would have known what it is, anyway. Um, so like, and like I said, Eddie Murphy's daughters are in it for a bit, but one kind of has a role in it, but not really. Um, they kind of like he, um, they like bring back some of the creature. I was about to say creatures because I was thinking of the Reverend from the first one. Uh, but and they have a lot of callback jokes in it that kind of don't work because they're not as funny as they were in the first movie.
Yeah.
And obviously the first movie was 30 some years ago. But like a lot of the characters are still funny from it. Um, like I said, like the first part of it's like pretty boring, like isn't really that good and stuff. You get like some good moments, like how Arsenio Hall is treated by James Earl Jones in particular was really funny. I thought, and kind of wish they kept it up throughout the whole movie and how they are threatening to execute him and throwing stuff at him.
Yeah.
Uh, and he's kind of this high-ranking guy that nobody has any respect for, which I found pretty funny. Um, but like you have the McDowell's place again within this. He's only in there for a joke or two or so. When Eddie Murphy like has his breakdown at some point, he can go to and talk for to a bit. You have I mean, the problem is almost all the stuff in the movie and a lot of the jokes was done in the same was done in this prequel but better.
Yeah.
The original but better. Um, in it, and it's not like it's a bad movie or anything. It's just one of those, or even like it's not even one of those that like you can't really say oh it shouldn't exist with the other one, because maybe if you like cut it down to 45 minutes or something, it would be pretty funny. And I don't think it's that long of a movie either, though. But it just feels like a lot of the rehashes don't really work too well. You want to know more about the old characters and kind of how they've been on these years and what's kind of went on and stuff. Uh, but you don't get too much of that. It's mostly about his new son.
Yeah.
Well, his son he didn't know he had. Um, and some of that stuff was really funny about how he found out about it and everything. But I thought the guy who played his son was kind of a wet blanket also.
Yeah.
Just I don't think he was that funny and stuff. Most of his jokes he didn't really pull off well. Like he had Tracy Morgan as his uncle, so I felt like he should be slightly a bit more crazy because of that.
Yeah.
And his mom and stuff. He was very much the straight man in his family. When his whole family was crazy. And I did like how they used Tracy Morgan and stuff. Again, it's one of those things that they used this character well, but it could have been used so much better.
Yeah.
Leslie Jones, who's the mother, they used well, but she could have done better.
It wasn't. The characters were funny.
Yeah.
I mean, Eddie Murphy
Yeah.
pulled off his comedian role. Arsenio Hall certainly was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Arsenio Hall was funny also. I thought actually his Reverend playing was a little bit better than the first one.
Oh yeah. My only thing is like when they talk about how the Reverend's horny and stuff, it kind of hadn't shown that then, but then they start showing it.
Yeah.
Which is my only thing. And that was like kind of and that was a pretty funny fallback, or how they go into this nasty church and they're still kind of happy. And I did like that scene and stuff a lot. But like I said, for the most part, I just found Eddie Murphy's son to be kind of boring and bland.
Yeah.
In it. And I mean, my biggest problem is they just kind of wasted a lot of the old characters in this movie. They might get one good scene out of them, but that's it. And then every other scene they're just kind of there.
Yeah.
And it's not like this is a small character that had a small role that people liked, so they brought him back for one good scene, then shows up in some other things. No, it's like his wife in it. I don't remember the actress or who did it. Eddie Murphy's wife in it. She's in there a bit, but doesn't really do anything until the end, and when she gets mad at him.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was actually kind of a funny joke that like he's this king of this country, and she's making him still sleep on the couch.
Yeah.
I think they could have actually done that a bit more. Like she could have like kicked him out and not even allowed him on like a good couch or something.
Yeah.
But I thought that was kind of like a clever thing. One of the big problems I have with it in this movie in particular, I never believed Zamunda, I keep wanting to say Zimbabwe, was a real country. Because like they show the McDowell's and it's just in the middle of nowhere.
Hmm.
You only ever really see the palace.
Yeah.
And I know some of that stuff like you can say for budget or something, but you could at least show me like some streets or anything.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
everything takes place either at McDonald's or in the palace.
yeah, like almost nothing takes place in Queen. Like there's very few environments in this movie,
No.
really, and that's kind of sad.
And they didn't really play up the environment of
Yeah,
Queens.
like
Uh,
I mean, in the original movie, Queens is a character in and of itself. The
yeah,
environment.
yeah,
Zamunda is not here.
yeah,
And I think that's one of the things, like, because you could have had a lot of fun with this kind of bizarre, uh, backwards country. Well, it had some things that were backwards in it.
yeah,
Um, in that, and I did think like him kind of going through like now he's the leader and he's kind of lost his idealism and stuff
yeah,
was could have been done and explored more funny, but like I said, just everything in this movie that was good was done in the other movie better for the
yeah,
most part. Uh, and I think that might be this movie's biggest flaw is because of that, which isn't necessarily fair. Because I'm trying to think about how I would view the movie if I hadn't seen the other one recently and thought the other one was honestly still really good.
yeah,
Um, uh, but it's just one of those things like it feels like they waste a lot of the characters that they had in the old one. And I get wanting to do it a lot with the new characters and stuff, but if that's the case, and just have that character in there for a funny scene or something,
mhm,
don't keep showing him and then like have me expecting something to happen with them.
yeah,
Uh, like he go uh, and stuff on that. And again, I think so. I think like the movie's biggest problem is Eddie Murphy's son character just isn't funny.
yeah. Not
He's
funny enough.
yeah, he's
Really
not funny
true.
enough, or he's like, or it's
Maybe
too like, oh, he's getting like the swagger on and stuff, and it's like we've seen this before.
yeah,
Um, in it, and honestly, like kind of going, and it just in like in particular, like with the sun stuff, I think if that would have worked better, it would have been a much better movie.
hmm,
Or if they just would have got somebody who would have more fun with it.
yeah,
Uh, I don't think the guy was a bad actor or anything. I just don't think he had anything. Like I can't really remember a joke he really had in the movie, other than like, oh, he's getting the swagger on, or oh, he does, I guess, joke somewhat with some of the like kings and stuff.
hmm,
But I don't know. How you doing, Kitty? Sorry, Hollow just jumped up on my computer again, so I kind of got distracted with her. Um, and it's kind of hard to talk about because you kind of just don't want to go because if we talk about the good things in the movie, it would be most of the jokes, and you kind of don't want to ruin them. Uh, but the bad thing is kind of beating a dead horse and like, oh, it did this, but it it did this not as well as the other one uh, did, and so on and so forth.
the
Mhm. Like, I honestly thought they should have spent more time in America, or you should have seen a lot more of Zamunda rather than just the palace.
mhm,
Um, my other big complaint, and this is something I just kind of hate in movies in general, is when they have a bunch of songs in them. Like how they had like several musical numbers at the beginning.
yeah,
And like I get like part of it, like the first one did have too, like they had these ritual things, but you got in the fact in that one that they were more of these rituals, and this one they were just singing songs,
mhm,
and that to me always just feels like padding or something you'd see in a bad kids movie.
yeah,
Um, and again, it took up time that could have been spent developing Eddie Murphy's daughters, developing his relationship with his queen, more time with Arsenio Hall,
Yeah.
or anything. Like I said, I mean, I keep going back to Arsenio Hall because I think he had most of the funnier scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
Especially, uh, especially the interview scene. Which I realize this might be something that they're kind of doing as a joke, but the news reporter they had has a terrible fake mustache in it.
Yeah.
And a few other things, and I guess this goes to another part of it. And a few other things in this movie I thought just looked kind of cheap. I don't know. Did you get that at all, or?
I don't know it did. I think first I think it went back to the old scenes. You know, first of all, they sort of put it in the 1970s or the old movies era.
Yeah.
Uh, the
Like, I mean, I thought they could have had like some of the stuff like. Obviously, like Queens has changed a lot, and they kind of point that out. Like Queens is a much nicer place than it was in the '80s. Now.
Yeah.
But they don't do anything with it.
They don't do anything with it. As you said, the Zamunda scenes and stuff, they're, they're sort of a, I mean, even in Coming to America, they were sort of a throwback to the old movie scenes, you know, the travel pictures by.
Yeah, the old B movies and stuff of the '40s
Yeah,
and '50s,
yeah,
and like and like in that one, it made sense that you'd only get like that one. It only has it at the beginning and the end of the movie,
yeah,
and everything that happens in Zamunda makes sense that it's happening in the castle
yeah,
because it's him getting up, him meeting who's going to be his queen, him running away,
yeah.
and then him having to come back. Well, I guess his father finding out he ran to America and going to go get him.
Yeah.
And then him having to come back for his wedding. And all of that makes sense why that's entirely in the castle. But when he's in Queens, he has you have his apartment, you have the dates he goes on, he's walking around the city, he has the barber shop. Compared to it all just being in this castle. And it isn't helped when you kind of see outside and there's not like a city around the castle, it's just forest.
Yeah.
So like I said, it just feels like it's just isolated castle in the middle of nowhere.
And that's somewhat what they were. I mean, Zamunda was somewhat like that as a country, but
yeah, but I mean, it felt like it didn't feel like there was a real country there.
No,
because I mean, from what you understand of the country and stuff, and what they kind of show, and what even Wesley Snipes' character talks about, Zamunda seems to be a pretty opulent country.
yeah.
I shouldn't say it's not a poor country. I should say it would probably be a first world country.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you only really know of the royalty there, but it sounds like they're doing pretty well for themselves.
Yes.
Other than that, so like I said, it's just
never...
it might be me more looking back at the stuff, going well, other than Trevor Noah's hair and mustache in it, that looked fake, and I mean that could have been a joke. But there's just some other things, and the fact that it seemed to only really have that one location. It just makes it seem a bit cheap. And I realize filming in Queens or something would probably be cheaper than building a whole sets and stuff and all that, like they did in the original.
Yeah.
But again, the movie's called Coming to America.
Yes. Two. Yeah.
Two. Well, it's just coming to the number 2 America, and I think the other one's coming T-O America coming, yeah, T-O-2 to America. Yeah. And so I don't know what, because you could have had a lot of fun with the new how New York's changed over the years, over almost the 35 years ish it's been.
Yeah.
Since the original. And him looking for his son and finding him, and that. Because, like I said, it makes less sense, that they go to this weird part-time church, and this one at the end so his son can get married to the girl he fell in love with, was some Zamundan hairdresser.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was fine with that aspect, that he didn't want to marry the other girl that he was set up with, because it is a good message that they're marrying these people because they actually love them, and
Yeah.
they have personalities.
Well, the movie seemed to be off track until, as I
Yeah.
said, they got back to the original story about,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that he came to America to find love,
Mm-hmm.
and and but
Mm-hmm.
it it's a reasonable sequel,
Yeah.
but it seemed like it could be a lot better.
Yeah, and I think that's like, again, it's the thing of, if the first one didn't exist, would we come down on this one as hard? But
Yeah.
on the other time, it references itself a lot. Um, and like,
But one
um,
of the things in the first one, you had great
mhm,
chemistry between Paul and Murphy,
yeah,
and that wasn't there this time.
yeah. Well, they still had great chemistry. It's just between the son and not.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
mean, like, other things, like in the first one and in this one, he like talks to the woman who's going to be a queen. He's like, "What do you like? Whatever you like. What's your favorite movie? Whatever your favorite movie is. What do you want to do?
yeah,
What do you want to do?" And like, it made sense in the. It made more sense in this one, in the
sure.
first one, because it said she was trained to be a queen. And I
Mhm.
guess you can say this one was too. But in that one, you'd understand why Eddie Murphy really wouldn't want somebody like that,
Yeah,
because he's had that his entire life.
mhm,
In this one, the other guy just kind of loved her at first for her looks.
yeah,
Which, like, it could have like done something clever and have them together for a while, and then
mhm,
have him
yeah,
hate that about her,
yeah, yeah,
that she wants to do whatever, she doesn't have a personality, and that was wrong.
yeah,
But or like that, and I just thought it worked a lot better in the first one than this one, than it
yes,
uh and like I said, in a lot of those things did. That being, like, when it comes to this one, it's on Amazon Prime, so I'd really like say, if you're
yeah,
bored or don't have anything to do and just want to see a comedy, watch it.
mhm,
But you could watch, but I'd recommend watching the first one a lot more, and watching the first one
yeah,
first, because the first one's a legitimately great comedy.
yeah. It still
Uh,
holds up.
yeah, it still holds up. Like I said, we saw it maybe a week or two ago.
Mhm.
Uh, it was just for something to watch, and it was still really funny. It still had a lot of the jokes still land, a lot of the things work in it. Um, and like I said, in this one, and one of the problems is the first one built up the characters so well, and in this one they're usually in it for one or two scenes, but one of those scenes doesn't do anything with them,
Yeah,
and the other one might. But like I said, I don't know. It's one of those things where I, I guess I've said that like four times now. But I don't have anything more to say on this one. Do you really?
no, I do not.
Okay. Like, watch it if you just need something to do, but watch the first one first. If you like the first one, watch this one. If not, I'm sure you can find some decent clips of it on YouTube and some of the jokes that work. Or just watch like a montage of Arsenio Hall getting made fun of and attacked in this movie, because that
Yeah,
was funny every time.
yeah,
In particular, when he and Tracy Morgan fight on a news program.
yeah.
Uh,
Arsenio Hall did a good job in this movie
yeah,
for
he was
certain.
he was the one character from the first one I thought they didn't squander.
Yeah,
I actually thought he could be in it a lot more,
yeah.
but that's again because he was so much better than it. But yeah, okay. Again, thank you for listening or watching. If you like, please remember to. If you like this, please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you and bye.
But